Hey guys, Cody here again. I just thought I would give you a little bit of an update on what's going on with this Homelite chainsaw here. I didn't show in the last video because the chainsaw was working then. This thing actually, I was just tuning it about an hour after I recorded the last video, and I was just tuning the fuel adjustment screws here that go to the carburetor to adjust how much fuel goes in at a time, and it revved up for a bit. Then it just completely cut out with this sort of a scratching sound. And then it just stopped, and then I couldn't pull it over. I couldn't pull it over anymore. What I thought it was is it was seized, like it was before. But what actually turned out were there were some bolts behind the flywheel that were scratching up against it, like I said, in the last video in the comment. So I had to take the flywheel off and tighten the bolts. I put it back on, and now it turns over just fine. However, when I went to go and start it, I put everything back together. It wouldn't start. So, I'm spraying a ton of starter fluid in there, holding the throttle open, even choking it sometimes. Wouldn't go. I mean, it might have tried to start one time, but after that it just wouldn't work. So I'm like, what's going on here? Why isn't this working anymore? And it turns out there was no spark. So I'm not really sure why that happened, because the ignition system has never been really a problem. But yeah, I tried taking it out, grounding it to the metal in there. You probably can't see it, it's kind of dark in here. And I was getting absolutely no spark. So then I'm like, why is this happening? I mean, I've had this for a while before I got the carburetor in place, and the spark was working just fine until this happened. And now I didn't mention before, the thing, before I had the carburetor, I was spraying a little bit of fuel in here and then putting my finger on it so it wouldn't go out, spin out of control, and then it would, idle for a few seconds, but then it would just burn up the fuel in the cylinder. So, that's not really all that useful, really. So I kept having to unseize this thing. I kept thinking it was the cylinder, but it turned out to just simply be the bolts underneath. I mean, there's some nasty scratch marks under there. And in fact, I kind of broke some of the bits on some of the teeth on the flywheel. It won't really affect much. It won't really affect how it runs. I mean, it's just I don't want to damage it too much. So yeah, and also today I kind of made a homemade sort of flywheel key, because I don't really know what happened to the last one. And so I just took a piece of really stiff wire from an old sort of a throttle cable from an old lawnmower that I had, and just cut a piece off and just stuck it in where the flywheel key is. I really think the whole idea of a flywheel key is complete crap because they make them so easy to break. Now the one I like about this one is that you can actually replace them. Whereas old ones, and I'll show you over here, old ones like this string trimmer motor head, the key is attached to the flywheel, and the key's actually broken off there, and I didn't have any replacement for it, so that's why this thing is retired. And also it happened on another one, a little 4-cycle string trimmer that I got. I actually got it from the local dump, that thing worked for a bit, but then the flywheel key broke off and there's no way to fix it. Now this one, I could probably just find a flywheel key at a local engine shop, and I could probably just pick out a selection. I mean, a flywheel key probably doesn't cost more than $1 or $2, so I can just get a nice selection of those. So yeah, anyway, so I just thought I'd give you an update. So I thought I was really scared because I thought the thing had seized because I was tuning it. I was revving it, and whenever it would bog down, and I kept hearing the scratching sound. So I thought, if I keep revving it, it'll thaw itself out. But no, then I turned the fuel adjustment screw, the high setting, up a bit. Then all of a sudden, just a nasty sound. So yeah, just thought I'd give you an update. What I'm gonna have to do, I'm sorry for not the best lighting here, is I'm gonna have to buy sort of a electronic ignition conversion kit, and it'll just go right there, and then it'll bypass all the like condenser and the timing thing, something behind the flywheel, and so I'll just run the black wire that runs under there, and it'll hook up to there, and then it'll hook up to all this stuff, and then it'll hook up to, you know, the off switch. Currently I have the pull cord somewhere over there. Yeah, so I'm just kind of throwing things together. I was actually thinking about replacing the ignition coil. However, these are not bolts here. Like, this is like permanently put in here, so I would have to like cut these off and then install new threads, and I don't have a tapping tool. Or not tapping tool, like one that you spin around to create threads, and then even then I might not have the ignition coil correct, so I just don't want to do much damage. So yeah, I'm probably gonna get a little bypass electronic ignition conversion for this thing. It'll probably cost about 20 bucks off of like eBay, something like that. Then I'll just put that back on, and I'll probably show you an update of that. So yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you later.